I've got multiple traumas. See, the thing is, I've had lots of different work, so. But the abuse growing up in care, so particular things like being locked in cellars, being peed on, not eating the same food, those kind of things, has made me super aware of other people in terms of like tuning into someone's depth, because I want to see what your real intention is with me. Are you genuine? Are you not? So what I do is I use love as like a guard, because I give you love just because it's from an authentic place to see if you can meet me there. If I don't feel it, then I know my brain will say, okay, something's up here. And also when I'm like in certain areas, so if I say like for instance when I'm in Leighton or Walthamstow, Waltham Forest in general, I'm way more hyper vigilant than I am anywhere else because of my experience growing up in Waltham Forest. And also there's a sense of certain energies. I can know what types of energies around me from like far. I can sense someone's coming, which is a gift and a curse, because obviously as soon as you sense a kind of dark energy or something that doesn't align with your frequency, you start moving, like my heart will start going like I'm waiting for something to happen. But to be fair, because I've done a lot of work, and even up to recently, that is kind of relaxing more. But there is moments when I'm like sitting in the car, and I don't like to be stationed in the car for too long because I've got stabbed in the car. So yeah, I think those are things that affect me, but I've consciously worked on it to change the meaning, because it's all about the meaning you give to what happens. So it's helped. But there are skills I think the main thing that the effect, I think for me, is awareness, and awareness of seeing into people to protect myself in a certain way. So yeah, it's my
one was an experience I had when I was younger, where, long story cut short, obviously I've always grown up around guys, and my nature is that, I suppose, gift and a curse is that I could be too trusting with people. And I had an experience, basically, went up the road with a couple of guys, obviously from the ends, didn't really think much of it, waiting around for one of them, that was taking too long, decided to walk back. One of them said, he'll walk home with me. There's me thinking he's showing me a shortcut. It was not a shortcut to nowhere, and he's tried to get me to be involved with certain things. I wasn't down. Just so happened that someone was walking past at the time, which is what interjected, and effectively I'd say it saved me from that situation, because at that point he was physically trying to force me to do certain things. So something like that. So that video the other day with the young girl, where the boy was trying to take her, that literally was, for me, it's something I've tried to suppress for many years. So you're looking at, I might have been about 13 at the time, and that was something I held in, and I think I can still to this day, I remember who I told, and it was one person, and I didn't let that out to anyone for best part of 5 years, because I felt ashamed about it, because I felt, well, I was too naive, so it was my fault, and then it was that self-blame kind of thing that I did to myself. So now when I see certain things, obviously I count myself lucky that it got stopped, but when I see videos like that, or I hear of certain things happening to young girls, that triggers me. So my instant thing is, I wouldn't say so much anger now, but it is still the anger. It's that the fact that people do this, and that people are so vulnerable, and there are times where it's just unfortunate, because it's not that the girls have done anything to lure a person on, it is just they've been targeted. So that's a big trigger for me up to this day.
One for me that I'm always battling with is being manipulated by females.
I knew that last bit was coming, you know.
Listen, that's not funny, man.
I'm not even laughing at that. It's just the way he paused and then he went,
Listen,
females.
I don't laugh at your traumas.
No,
Listen, this is a serious
You
trauma.
can't say it like that.
I'm just letting you know.
And it's interesting we're laughing because
I don't even actually find it
no, but
funny.
it is interesting that we think that you being manipulated by traumas is funny.
Yeah.
I don't find it
Doing
funny.
to a woman
Yeah.
is not funny. But
Yeah,
it's
no,
just
no,
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 that's
that
a
is
thing.
what we're
No,
doing.
that's
But
true.
that is the standard, though, isn't it? That is
That's
the double
society's.
standard. That is
That's
literally
society's
it,
thing
and that's
about
why you did laugh.
masculinity.
Because if it was T who said it, it would have been something else.
I just laugh because of the pause. I'm
But,
just making that official, yeah.
That's right.
It was the added
But
emphasis.
it's in Canada.
We did it. That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna own it. We
See,
did it.
yeah. I feel like when you are like, when you don't really have a blueprint to a relationship, and you're just there because you like someone a lot, you are going to be open for a lot of mess if someone has a plan, or if someone is seeing this opportunity with a strategic eye. When you're completely unaware of certain things, you miss a lot of things, obviously, and you find yourself being so involved in something, but not really having a role. You're just there for whatever mood swing. You're gonna kind of look at yourself and think, what did I do? Like, did I do something? Was like, is what I did so bad to warrant this? And not knowing at the time that you're very sensitive to things, you're consuming a lot of the confusion, and then it makes you confused. And loyalty will have you fucked up, because there's that loyalty that you have. You stay very close because of loyalty, but it's making it worse. So it's just like you're just walking around in circles and circles and circles. Don't get me wrong though, it's made me super aware. So when it comes to females and stuff, I'm always catching stuff. Like I'm so analytical. I'm always like there. I'm like, I see you. It's given me a sense of protection, but at the same time, there have been times when I haven't been aware enough to where I've been so on point to the point where I may somewhat be moving like them now, because now I have strategy. So now I'm never involved, as in too involved. I'm always here. I'm always here, and I can't get to, like, I can't consciously get to there, because I know that I need to be standing on the outside looking in, rather than being in and not being able to see everything else around.
Just to add on to that, so do you think that not having the same level of traumas doesn't give you the same level of skills? So if you didn't go through those traumas,
In terms of growth.
yeah, in terms of growth. So if we flip the question on its head, are you glad to have those traumas, or are you not glad?
Okay, let me meet that somewhere else. I always say, you see when people say, oh, I wouldn't change anything because I've learned so much. I don't agree with that. Certain women I've hurt, and like,
In a way that it's bad for them, or
I mean,
do you know how they received it? Because
I know how they receive it at the time.
Yeah.
I know how they
obviously.
receive it at the time, and it's not the lick.
No, yeah,
it's
of
not
course.
cool. It's not cool at all
definitely
because it's like you can be in a space with someone and you hurt them, and because you're trying to get out unscathed, you kind of just leave them hanging.
Yeah, I've done that before.
But with me,
and it does.
right, I always look back and I'm like, I'm fucked for that.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't get me wrong, as much as I may have like made it out, I've suffered in my own way because karma comes back in a different way. And I recognize it so clearly. And I'm like, yo, that is that.
yeah,
Now I'm being tried, as in now I'm being tested. But as much as I've learned, I would always take back everything that I've done.
yeah.
Don't get me wrong, like I was moving the best that I could at the time, which was ultimately shit. But I take it back. I don't think it's worth that because of the fact that we're not governed by people that teach us how to get the best out of these situations. So a lot of people won't make it out with a healthy perspective. They will end up
suffering.
rotten because of what you've done, and then that rotten will continue on and on and on. And not everyone's capable of having that clean perspective that ends up transforming their whole life into something greater. It's always gonna remain at that point where you hurt them.
Can I just say, to add on to that, that brings us back to the conversation we had about when you're sleeping with people and you transfer your energies. Things like that, people don't realise that you take that with you into your new relationship. No matter how much you try not to, yeah? The damage and pain, whether it be you've caused or you've received, you take it into, subconsciously you take into a new relationship where it could be good, it could be bad. So it could be, alright, if that's happened to me before, I'm going to behave differently now, so I won't let it happen again. Or if I've done that before, I'm not going to do it again because I don't want to make that same mistake. So how Ant's now saying he wouldn't do that to somebody else and he takes it back, what he could be met with his partner now. She's been through the shit that he's put someone else through, and he's going to see the effects of it in his relationship because it's coming through her. So it may not always be you doing it directly to that person, but you're going to see it and it's going to hit you in your face where you can no longer run from it. So you run from that person, but you can't run from the one in front.
And it's worse if you take accountability and your awareness is so heightened. You see me, it's heightened. So I'm catching everything and I'm like, lucky for me I can understand it and put it in its right
Context
and place and stuff. But at the same time, that doesn't make it any easier. You get what I mean? But I understand that, yo, you can't run. You can't run from these things.
Well, you can run, you can't hide though.
You can run, but you can't hide. But the pain you cause a person, it like us being sensitive to things and vulnerable, right? Whenever we look back, that stuff's always gonna hit us like fuck. Whether you put it into perspective or not, the empath in us is always gonna feel that like shit, man. And I can't take that back because some people like they can't let go of that toxic, that poison.
They like I've had times when I've broken hearts and I'm like shit, but I wasn't in that place to manage me and that person.
100%.
But I've always treated people in love, always been that.
See, and that's the thing. I have never, right, never consciously, right, said I'm gonna fuck this person up, or I am going out to hurt this person. That's not in my nature.
Do you think people do though?
What? I don't know. But what I do know is that
to a degree,
what
we unconsciously
I do know is that I've always been consciously on my journey, as in whatever I have to do, I have to do it. I have to do it. Like nothing can stop me, right? And at the end, I understand why it had to happen, right? but at the same time, that doesn't make it right.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make it right.